One thing you said, Steve, about MF Global, about Gerald Celente, and I think people in general are stuck in this mindset. Something that was said to me last night when I was talking with my source. Past stability is not a measure of future stability. People are stuck in this mindset where, well, geez, you know, my bank was fine before, for just as an example. It doesn't mean it's going to be fine tomorrow. Just like MF Global, we saw the biggest really theft in history with MF Global. And Gerald Celente got caught up in that. And as you said, he's a smart guy. And, of course, they were segregated accounts. But this is going to be on a much larger scale here. I just got an email from someone. He said, well, why don't you talk in specifics as to what is going to happen? Well, I think we are. You know, I mean, how do you answer that? I think we are. The game is about to shift. We're not playing footsie anymore or under the table. Now it's going to turn into a slap fest, punch fest on top of the table. This new economic order is coming in, come hell or high water. A reset is going to happen on our dollar-based economy. Oil is going to be used as a weapon. And Steve, I mean, you know, again, correct me if any of this is not ringing true with you, but exactly the same thing, for example, that we did to collapse the Soviet Union is going to be turned back on us. There will be a tide of dollars coming back to the United States. And that's going to debase our currency. Look, we got Bernanke talking about this tapering off here in September, October. Really? I mean, this is, again, what we're seeing here is a theft of all of our wealth. And now, of course, it's not going to happen necessarily. I mean, it's a process. Syria is part of this process. It's, again, the flashbang of the Magic Act. But it's a huge flashbang and a huge diversion. As the bombs are flying, the economy will collapse here in this country because of what? Because of oil, the energy, the threat of cutting off oil to this country. Everything is going to grind to a halt, and that's when as you spoke eloquently about this earlier, Steve, about what's going to happen here domestically. And you mentioned something too about the race issue.
That guy's got to be a shill or dumber than dumb, and I'm sorry if that's offensive. Specifically, we're going to have race wars. Specifically, your money's not going to work. You're not going to have access to credit cards. You're not going to have access to funds. You're not going to be able to write a check for anything. You're going to be living in constant fear of your life. You won't have access to gas unless you get on the black market. You are going to be hungry. You're going to be without power. You're not, and even as a prepper, you've got to make sure that the people you've made friends with are really your friends. I can only tell you this. I have never in my life, having experienced betrayal, seen such a weak-willed, skunk-livered group of people that I have associated with in the past. I'm putting that in the past. I have never seen the betrayal, the cowardice, and the arrogance of people saying, well, if it gets bad, I'm just going to come to your house and say, happy to have it. I won't be there. Now, the point that I'm saying, Doug, is what more specifically can I say? The U.S. military is going to experience a staggering defeat. Biological weapons are going to be released. Radiological weapons are already being released. Look, they've killed the Pacific Ocean, and people are still, singing yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. To eat seafood, you'd have to be dumb. And I get emails from up and down the West Coast, all the way up in the Gulf of Alaska. People are saying, Steve, we're seeing really gory stuff on these fish. We're seeing gross. We're seeing this, and a third of the life in the sea died. We're going to see the selling of our children into slavery. Like Pastor Langford said, we were in bondage. Now we're going into slavery. We're going into where the very, very essence of everything you thought you owned, including your person. You're being genetically raped. You're being genetically typed. Every phone call, every email, every fax, soon to have every brainwave fed into the computer, but God himself, Almighty God, will intervene. Isn't it interesting that one of the exercises, now I'm torqued, Doug, that has got to be the dumbest asked question that I have ever heard proposed. Specifically, what more can be specific than, and see, now I understand why W and Rosebud and my people, my general friends, just shake their head. I understand, and I apologize to all you guys that are without equal for my stupidity and my naivety for trying to think that the average American even cares. But we're not dealing with the average American. We're dealing with those who are called by the living God, who want to know, who are praying, believing people. And that's why, Doug, you do what you do, and I do what I do. And if that's offensive to that person, I'm happy as a clam now. I'm just joyful. I mean, if I could jump a little higher, I'd be doing backflips, okay? If people can't see in real time what that question indicates, I don't know what can. What is more specific than that? The total end of everything you know as normal. The total end of your life as you've known it. The choices you can make, you will no longer be able to make. The choices are being made for you. And that's as specific as I can get. You know what they want? They want a day and the hour. And God won't give it to them, and I don't have it. So they're going to have to do the same thing we all are going to have to do. And again, I wanted to say one last time, that is the dumbest asked question I've ever had proposed to me on talk radio. Hi, a monumental day, 8/26/13.
Yeah, and I agree, because exactly how much more, the mechanics, we're seeing it play out. And I've got to say this. I had a conversation with somebody the other day that, a close family member who said, after watching the chemical weapons attacks in Syria, the statement was, well, something should be done. Well, hasn't enough been done already? I mean, but I guess I see that because of the mindset of the people. What are we going to do about it? Well, and clearly people aren't understanding the large picture, the bigger picture. And when you understand the bigger picture, then you know. Then you know what's going on here. Steve, am I wrong here to say that this is the Illuminati Luciferian agenda here? Both sides or all sides of this upcoming conflict are being funded by the very same people? I mean, isn't that what we're seeing? Just like
we're seeing the global chess masters moving all the pieces around so they can declare game over, checkmate, and take everybody's stuff.
Right.
Doug,
right.
One of the questions that escapes the average person: who's going to occupy all the FEMA camps? And those who are fortunate enough to get to live, what happens to all their stuff? You think you go in there for re-education, go back to Grandma Joe's silver-plated tea set, or, that Western piece of art on the wall, or your Colt 45 Peacemaker collection, or your gun safe with 82 guns in it, I mean, see, that's where the disconnect is. It's almost like can I say this? It's almost like we are a cartoon. And as crazy as the Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons are, we are absolutely in a cartoon. And the denial is so great that even when the Jews went into captivity, they said we were as people who dreamed a dream. In other words, they couldn't believe it's happening to them. And when you're taking classes, combat classes and counter intel classes and everything, the one thing everybody's got to get over is this initial denial. The first time someone shoots at you, I can't believe they're shooting at me. No, you better know they're shooting at you. You better be able to shoot back and shoot better than they do. Okay? The point that I'm trying to make is this. People want to feel warm and fuzzy, and the people that, are keeping you in that warm and fuzzy dead zone, the land of the walking dead, as I used to call it, before they, incorporated it into, a TV name for a zombie movie, is the fact is that everybody wants to have a group hug and sing Kumbaya. That's why the emerging church movement is so popular, because it is a bloodless belief system. It doesn't give Jesus the honor and the worship he is due as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And Jesus said there'll come a time when they're going to kill us and believe they're doing God a favor. I can see how that would happen easily. And as I've said before, it'll be in a stadium, and it'll be as they basically are beheading the Christians or shooting them or whatever. It's going to be just like the Roman Colosseum, and everybody's going to basically have out their evangelical charts. They're going to say, well, that's not us because we're going to be raptured, as the people that have warned them are, being slaughtered. By the way, I posted a story on my alert section about the guillotines. I want to go into the guillotines. I asked one of the most famous double agents I ever interviewed in my life, why the guillotines? And he said it goes back to Genesis 3:15. And the cutting off the head. It's the devil's rage, and that's why in the book of Revelation you see those martyrs who are beheaded for the testimony of Jesus. Well, look, the guy that sent that to me, Rob, I know him. He's given me great photos. So the first thing I get is a shill saying, well, if everybody would have an iPhone and take pictures of that. If they don't understand how the military works or the axis of military, sometimes you don't get to do that. Let me put this into perspective for everyone. 20 years ago when I started on talk radio, this isn't an old guy reminiscing, this is telling you where it all evolved from, because you hear the fruit of all these stories and then people take it and run with it, but I'll tell you how it came about. The red list, the blue list, and the green list, it's not yellow, came about by a guy who was one of the head guys for the Environmental Protection Agency over the western United States. He used to listen to me on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado. That's where I started talk radio. And he gave me the whole plan. In those days, all of the, quote, waste incinerators were nothing more than the allocation of funds to, when this day comes, to get rid of all these bodies, they incinerate them, okay? That was the methodology. The red list were the gun owners at that time, the most outspoken critics of the government, and the people they knew they could not change. So those are the guys that get axed. A good example is Breitbart was red listed, okay? Hastings was red listed.
Right.
Then the blue lists are the people that go along with the destruction of their fellow countrymen initially for the first 30 or 60 days. That would be the military and the police forces. Once the police forces have joined in the slaughter of the innocents, then they get off. Now, this man, it cost him his life. So I could give a darn, and I'll make it nice, I could give a darn what you shills and you pathetic cowards think, or you paid professionals try and distort. This is the truth. Then we have the open admission that, boy, there's an enemies list, and that the National Defense Authorization Act, 1867, says people can be killed at the discretion of the president. Remember that, everyone? Not one of those... You got it. And interesting enough, Breitbart was axed, I think, within 5 or 10 minutes after that, going into law at midnight. So, now you've got the situation of the blue list. The blue lists are the people I appeal to. I'm saying to those of you in the military, to those of you, you all have assassins assigned to you. In those days, Doug, I was told there were 382,000 foreign troops, NATO preferably, or primarily training in the United States. Who knows how many it is now? The blue lists will be allowed to participate in the slaughter, and once they're done, they all get whacked, okay? That would be by the Spetsnaz or the Chinese or whoever's already here. Then you got the green list. The green list are the people that go to camp, and they get re-educated. Now, it gets even more interesting than that. If you've seen the play for euthanasia, the primary health care givers, the doctors, the nurses, the people who provide any type of home care to the elderly or, hospice, etc. The thing the New World hates more than anything is compassion. Do you know, if you read DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, half of their press releases, they're talking about a soulless, they don't usually call it soulless, but something that isn't bound by tradition that can be ordered to kill without emotion. Killing without emotion is their wonderful word. I can remember just getting laughed at, and jokes even, on some big TV programs, and talk radio programs be talking about this stuff because that'll never happen. What's that guy smoking? Nothing. I don't smoke. What's he drinking? Quit when I got saved, you know? Well, he's just flat out crazy. No, I've got the mind of Christ. So the point is that this is going on right now, and it's tough to get people to understand that it doesn't matter what their denials. Their denials aren't going to, how do I say this, keep their bacon out of the frying pan. If they're kosher, it's not going to keep their lamb out of off of the rotisserie, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. Steve, let me back up here because I think that there's a couple of issues here people are not really understanding about. Well, of course, you covered the list. Now, how soon after things go into motion will this? Now, I understand that a lot of this is in play already, but when does this go into full play? I mean, we're talking, you know, full out, full scale, get rid of everything. Let's do it now. The button is pushed. The orders are given, and we're seeing things change forever. At what point in this process are we going to see that?
Well, according to the people that I talked to, my best guess is probably within 6 to 7 days.
After, okay, I'm not talking for a date. I guess the event sequence.
Okay, well, the sequence is, okay, maybe we should say it this way. Let's back up, Doug. How will it be when Syria is attacked? How soon will Iran reciprocate? Will Iran's reciprocate be primarily aimed at Israel first, or will they initiate activating their terror cells in the United States? Same thing with Syria. Then, again, now to bring North Koreans, how will the North Koreans be involved in this? Because North Korea has got different agreements with Syria also. Right. Now, obviously, we know from Isaiah 17, Damascus is toast, okay? But the point is what we don't know is how it plays out after that. What will happen to the gold and silver markets while that's taking place? Well, my guess is that the future markets will declare force majeure, which means they don't have to cover their contracts because there's an act of war. So the people that are speculating, just like that doctor friend, we'll call him Dr. Dumb, who thinks that, you know, excuse me, exchange-traded funds are the way it's going to be good. I said, so you're going for a promise, an IOU, and a lie against the silver you have in your hands. Then he said, yep, I'm doing it. Yeah, so the events that are going to happen, the question is how fast will the economy implode? I would say based on, and you're the investigator, based on ancillary evidence of the last week with the exchanges shutting down, with eBay being down, with Google being down, all those things. Those are preemptive indicators that somebody's getting ready to put the kill switch into effect. Concurrent with the kill switch will be the instantaneous plunder of accounts, okay?